Hello, my fellow patriots. I know it's Sunday and I know it's noon, and I know people are at church or just about heading home from church. And I'm glad you guys are getting your fix of the daily Holy Spirit. But I wanted to come on because I had some things rattling around in my head again, and sometimes I just need to bring up and see what's going on. Um, I wanted to bring up this the oppression that's being done all around the world. It's amazing if you look at what's going on worldwide. People are people are waking up. Hey, Sandra, NS, I believe you're new. I don't recognize you. Good to see you. Now I'm talking about the world deciding that oppression going to be tolerated, and I believe that the United States is a beacon on the hill, and people are starting to follow our lead because they're seeing that we're moving to eliminate the oppression of our government. Margot, good to see you. Right now, Miss Mary, hey there. Uh, right now, if you just look around the world, the governments are being replaced, the leaders of these governments are being replaced by populists, and the warmongers and the scoundrels that have been in office are being rejected. I think a lot of that is because people are waking up. Hey, Benny, uh, I just need to come on today and get some stuff off my chest because I see the signs all the time, and I probably don't get on here as much as I should when I see things and put things together. As you can tell, I'm very in the casual right now because I just wanted to come on and get some of this out there. But right now we've got Chile. That's I bleed American. Hey there. Um, the the people of Chile have had it. They're sick of making pennies and getting taxed to death, and nobody functions in these countries except for their governments. And we're seeing obviously Chile. We're seeing Spain. They've erupted into protests against their government. You've got UK with their Brexit that they're flat out tired of it, and they've let them know that if they don't get this thing done, that the people will get it done, and they're starting to move on it. So that you got Chile, you got Spain, you got UK. Italy is fighting right now to keep a populist system. The the people are just about at their wits' end with that system, and then you've got Crimea, the Ukraine. You've got all this corruption that's being exposed in that country, and they've elected a populist president, so they're moving towards freedom from oppression as well. Um, it's the signs are there. The people are tired, and I think that when the takedown of the cabal happens and the removal of a globalist system, when that happens, it's going to be fairly rapid. Everybody's getting their piece, so to speak, like chess. I mean, everybody is working on their 4D chess. So I think when everybody's in position and when the countries and reach a point where the people inform their governments that this is it, I think everything's going to change rapidly. And I think what'll happen in our country is if these psychopaths, Lionel 61, good to see you. Charles Wright, Mike H, welcome, welcome, welcome. Uh, I think what'll happen if these Democrats and these psychopaths manage to do something stupid like try to remove the president with force, um, I don't think it'll go as well as they think. And they're absolutely delusional. If you listen to somebody like Francis O'Rourke, the during that he did an interview And they said, well, how do you plan on getting the guns from the people that will not turn them over? And he says, oh, Americans will obey the law. They'll do what they're told when the law says it. And then they said, well, what if they don't? And he says, oh, we'll send the police to their house. Um, Darla Tidwell, Cheshire Cat, welcome. Good to see you both. Anyway, so they're absolutely delusional because they think that the American people are stupid, they're weak, they're controlled, they're all these things. Lisa Shaw, new face too, new name there. Dirty Rotten Imbecile, welcome. Uh, as an example of what would possibly happen, I say possibly, but I think guarantee that it'll happen. The the man that put together the Thunder in D.C., the big bike rally every Memorial Day where we thank our soldiers for their sacrifices and their service. There was this last year they had 800,000 bikers there. First time. Welcome, Charles. Welcome. Good to see you. Um, this man that puts together that thing was interviewed on a news program, and the woman asked him, "So what are you going to do if the president is removed from office?" And his answer was pretty simple. He says, "Well, you've seen what 800,000 bikes looks like in D.C." And he says, "Try to imagine 1.5 million of those bikes in D.C. with a lot of very angry bikers." And the person doing the interview says, "Well, that sounds like a threat." Well, the guy kind of goes, "No, it's not a threat. It's a promise." And kind of shocked the interviewer a little bit, but I think that's more reality than what you hear from Francis O'Rourke. Danny, welcome. I got some new people hanging out today. It's good to see you all. Welcome. We've got a patriot family going on over here. So you think about these Democrats, they're in their own little bubble and their own their own version of reality that doesn't coincide with any form of reality outside of their bubble. And they really believe that if they take out the president, that they're going to have the support of the military, they're going to have their police, they're going to have all this stuff. They're not. Hang in Arizona, good to see you. The Back in Hurricane Katrina, there was another there was a beta test similar to what they've done out in California with the power supply and all this other. That was where they took the National Guard. Deidre Baker, hi there. They took the National Guard through the Ninth Ward in New Orleans, and they went from house to house and they disarmed the public. Well, the problem with that is those military guys were obeying their orders. But if you obey an order that goes against your oath to the Constitution, which does not expire, I did my oath in 1989, and I am still bound completely to my oath. So it's not something you can just have an expiration date. But if these people in the military come up against the American people, that is called treason and sedition. And as an example, in combat, there's a thing called field justice. If uh, if somebody exposes your unit to the enemy, if they do something where it puts you and your team in danger, there's a little thing called field justice, and that person's gone because what they've done is they've committed treason and they are immediately punished for it. There is no court martial or anything. The proof is right there, and the justice is immediate. Uh, if they try to remove our president with force or with whatever they're concocting, the the penalty for that, a penalty for a coup against the sitting government, is treason, and it's death. It's not, oh, well, they're going to go to jail for 6 months. No, it's not that. So I hope that at some point, the people that are behind this coup that are attempting to set up the president with a crime that doesn't exist, I hope that they are smart enough to realize the American people won't stand for it. They can have all their red flag laws. They can do everything they want to do to try to keep the populace in check, but it won't work because, for one thing, hey, Propus, for one thing, um, being military trained, being combat trained, I'm also trained in martial arts. I've been there, done that, and the reality is the the weapons that are used are nothing more than tools because we, as soldiers, are the weapon. We handle the business, but we use tools to get the job done. Sometimes, so if you know, you see the back in the medieval times, you had entire villages would come up and siege a castle using nothing more than their torches and their pitchforks, so to speak. But it happens when people reach a point of no return where they've just had it. Then they're making a conscious decision: do I want to continue to live like this, or do I want to risk death to establish freedom again? And I think that you would find that many people would rather risk death than to live under the oppression of a person holding their thumb on your tail. And that's where I am. I mean, when they say give me liberty or give me death, that is 100% the reality. I will never live under an oppressive rule. I refuse. So I know there are others like me that are also in that position. Great informer. Good to see you, brother. Welcome, welcome. Uh, anyway, so I wanted to bring up that stuff because we see it happening all over the world. The people of Earth have had it, and I expect more countries to start rising up. I'm sure there are rising up, but the media will will hide that as long as they possibly can. Um, they hide everything. If there's any hint or indication by the media that the people are reaching their boiling point, they've lost control. They want to keep that narrative. They want to keep people thinking that nobody else is interested in this. 57% of Americans agree with impeachment. These numbers are thrown out there to pacify the public, and we as the public are not sucking our thumbs much anymore. It's getting pretty ridiculous. I agree. Tired of these oppressive communism behavior and intruding censorship. Yeah, me too. I've said it in many chats, and I think I've said it on some of my videos. We lost the first without a word, and we won't lose the second without a war. And the reality is, we have lost the first because the First Amendment is freedom of speech, freedom of religion, and we have been shut up. Um, for an example, in the chat, you can't use any cuss words in the chat because it'll be flagged if I'm not listed as adult content, and you can't use the subscription word unless it's in a formal sentence. If it's just something like I subbed, if it's written in the chat, then that gets flagged like a cuss word, and they put it under adult content and flag your video. So the little things that they do to keep us quiet are examples of us losing our First Amendment, because we could fight against it. We could say, oh, I'm going to say whatever the hell I want to say, and there's nothing they can do about it, and all of a sudden your video goes black. So yes, there is something they can do about it. They can control your speech. Um, Poopy smash them. Yep, Vince, welcome. Good to see you. I agree with that. But going into subject number 2, and by the way, I'm still having my show tonight, Inside Veterans Affairs. I've got a clear day, first one in several days because of that tropical storm that went through. So I think my signal is going out pretty well. So I'll be back on Inside Veterans Affairs Yeah, we don't see what's going on, right? We're starting to be controlled by China, and China needs to stay out of our business. Well, rather we are not being controlled by China. Um, they are being controlled by China. The globalist corporate elite are being controlled by China. China still knows better than to come over here and try to uh, play with our toys in our sandbox, because they listened to what the admiral in Japan said during World War II, that behind every blade of grass will be an American with a gun. Everybody in the world knows that, and that's why this is probably the safest homeland from invasion. As far as standing armies, China has like 1 million or 1.5 million in their standing army, and I think that they're the biggest. But if you consider the United States with the veteran population, the patriots, the hunters, everybody that is skilled and proficient on weapons, we have the largest standing army by 10 times. We've got 100 million minimum that are proficient in weaponry in this country. And when you move that kind of force across the land, it becomes something like locusts. And if there is an enemy within within eye shot 800 meters, then they're not an enemy anymore. They are a body count. So that's something that the Democrats don't think about either. They don't comprehend the numbers of the patriots in this country. And you figure 60, they say 65 million voted for President Trump. And I think that's an extremely low number, but it's, I think it's probably closer to 100 million. Uh, Looking forward to the great night show. Yeah, thank you, Sandra. Um, we went out of the EU by law on the 29th of March this year, but the establishment just ignored the Article 50 law. Well, yeah, that was Charles. They the Democrats, the elite, the cabal, the left, the psychopaths. Law is irrelevant. It has nothing to do with the action. If anything, it's stepping stones, and all they have to do is fall back, reactate it. And when you're the lawmakers, then laws are completely irrelevant, because if you don't like a law, you just change it, amend it a little bit, and adjust it to your needs, then use it. But I was going to get on to subject number two about situation in Turkey. Uh, I lived in Turkey for a year, and I'm fairly familiar with their political system. One thing one of my habits is learning. I want to learn something new every day. I want to absorb as much as I can. So I studied their political system. I understand how Turkey was established, and I also know that there are elements outside of Turkey that want to take it back to a time back when the Ottoman Empire was there. Warsaw Patriot, welcome. Uh, in the Ottoman Empire, it was extreme rule. It was, you do what you're told, or you disappear, and your family, your children, everybody around you will disappear. So they had a ruling party by fear of death, and they used it. So it was a time of extreme violence when Constantinople was the primary location, now to be known as Istanbul. But one thing that people don't realize with Turkey is they've been in dealing with warring factions of the Kurdish people since probably well over 100 years. Well over 100 years. There are tribes of the Kurdish, and when I lived in Turkey, I lived in a place called Marmaris. It's on the west coast, right on the Mediterranean, and It was a village where the Kurdish people and the Turkish people, the Brits, the everybody mingled with no battling, nothing. I mean, everybody got along just fine because the Kurdish people are really not the ones that Turkey is in the fight with. There's a tribe of the Kurdish people called the PKK, and that tribe is the ISIS of Kurdistan, basically. Uh, in general, there's about 5 tribes of Kurdish, and all of the Kurdish, except for the PKK, mingle with the Turkish people on a daily basis. I mean, you just don't even know the difference. Nobody asks somebody, "Are you Kurdish? Oh, are you Kurdish?" They don't. They get along just fine. But the PKK has been trying to dismantle Turkey since its inception, and they're constantly setting off bombs in Istanbul and Ankara and Izmir and Bodrum, all these villages. They're constantly doing things to try to keep Turkey in a constant state of terror. William Newell, welcome. Um, Boy, I got a lot of new faces today. Good to see y'all. I'm glad y'all can hanging out. Um, but anyway, so when the media spins this hype, oh, we're abandoning our allies, we're doing this, we're doing that. No, we're not. The Kurdish people are quite capable of defending themselves, and even the Kurdish tribes don't like the PKK. So there is infighting. The PKK attacks the other Kurdish tribes, and the media is trying to design this so that we will have the heartstrings pulled. We're abandoning our allies. We need to keep fighting. We need to do this. We need to do that. The reality is we don't. We've armed the but the PKK. They're not going to get U.S. weapons because they are a terrorist organization, well defined, well determined, no doubt. So the Kurdish people are well armed, and the Turkish people they've never lost a war on their homeland in their entire existence. The Turkish people are some of the strongest fighting people in the world. They've never lost a war in their country. Somebody attacks them and they get absolutely hammered. But we've got to understand that everything that you're being told by the media is designed to manipulate your thought. It's designed to sway your opinion. And if you take some time and if you hear a report in the news, Dagan Hills, welcome. If you hear something in the news, take a few minutes and pull out some information, Google it or use DuckDuckGo. Try to stay away from the manipulated searches. But spend a few minutes. If something sounds like too much in the news, just too hysterical, or oh my God, we got to think about the children's. Please save the children's. That is their go-to. It's always about the kids, but it has nothing to do with the kids. If they cared about kids, they wouldn't kill millions of them a year with Planned Parenthood. That is nothing more than a manipulation tool to sway the opinion of the people. The Kurds were never given a home. Turkey was once part of their homeland. Turkey and northern Syria is considered Kurdistan, and they inhabit that, but the PKK wants to break it away from Turkey, but the general population of Kurdistan wants to stay with Turkey because there's an element of security. So that's what that's about. They have a territory, but they are part of very similar to the United States. We are a territory consistent of many states, and each state is really independent, but we all work together under the U.S. government. So it's a similar process. Carl's opinion. Hey, good to see you. Um, so anyway, just don't fall for everything the media tells you, because Turkey is fairly tranquil. It's an incredible place, and there isn't battles in the street every day. But the PKK is a dangerous terrorist organization trying to break Turkey up. So they are they're like gnats. You can't sweep them away because they just keep coming. But so anyway, let's calm down a little bit about Turkey. Everything is fine over there. The warmongers want to keep us in war, and there's absolutely no need for us to do anything. The Kurdish people can handle themselves. The Turkish can handle themselves, and we just 7,000 miles away. We just don't need to be there. It's none of our business. It's been going on for, I say, over 100 years. I mean, these warring factions could have been at each other since before the creation of the United States. I know that during the Ottoman Empire and during Constantinople, there was conquering taking place. And when Turkey became Turkey, they, you know, they still wanted warring factions because they wanted to keep it broken up. They wanted it like it was. Commie, Connecticut, you're leaving there. Yeah. Turkey and Greece used to be great allies. Now I don't trust either one. Um, yeah. Here's the problem. Erdogan, the president of Turkey, um, he changed a lot of the politics over there. And that is the reason that we had to leave Turkey, because for us to keep our visas was going to quadruple in price. I actually bought a boat while I was over there, and I didn't get it flagged under U.S. flag in time, so that when he got in there, he made it a law that you cannot reflag a Turkish gullet into another country's flag. So I ended up losing my shorts on my boat. I had a 69-foot gullet with 10 staterooms plus captain and crew that I was going to use for charters. And when I found out Erdogan got elected and then he changed that law almost immediately, I realized there was no way I was going to reflag the vessel. I wasn't going to be able to get it registered in the U.S. I ended up having to sell the boat. An incredible financial hit. It just about put us in bankruptcy, the amount that I lost. But that's the problem I have with Erdogan. He's a dangerous leader, but the Turkish people are still strong enough to stand up to him, and they do. They tolerate him right now, but they do stand up when they need to. You're from Europe, near the Black Sea, near Turkey. To keep it short, Turkey is bad. They are a plague to Europe. I believe USA only allies with Turkey because of its geography. Yeah, it's to put a kink into the Silk Road. Except China just did secure a deal with Turkey, which gives them China, Pakistan, Iran, Turkey, and Europe. So they're getting their Silk Road established, and they're trying to get their maritime Silk Road established by securing long-term leases with shipping ports around the world. They're trying to sew up the entire world trade system, and as long as we don't let China branch out, then we can still keep this under control. Yeah, to say, well, that I agree. Over 1,000 years fighting over the same crummy desert. Yeah, it's true. They've been at it a long time, a lot longer than our warmongers have even been alive. But making a transition from Turkey, talking about our warmongers, there's an industrial military complex that really benefits from war. And I'm not, as a veteran, I'm not against defense of the innocents. That is why I joined the military, because I feel like at least it's the least I can do in my existence is to protect the people that can't protect themselves. And I lay my life down in a minute for the American people without hesitation, not even with self thought or anything. So I'm not against defense, but what I am against are bankers' war. The industrial military complex and the bankers coordinate these campaigns, and think about it. They call it a campaign because they're going in there with the idea of changing the leadership of that country. They want to get rid of the leadership that's giving them resistance, and they want to put their puppet governments in place. Campaign. Um, its military campaigns are the same as they're both designed to do the same, designed to take power away from a government entity and change it to an entity that will be favorable to the bankers and to the global elite. There was a 5-country plan to take out 5 countries in the Middle East, and Syria was number 4, and then it was going to be Iran. Well, they've gotten a stick in their spokes. They've gone head over tea kettle, right over the handlebars now, because President Trump is putting a stop to it, and the warmongers in Congress and in the upper brass of our military are freaking out about it because they're losing their control. They're losing their potential grab up of mineral rights and gold deposits, and everything that they would rob from these countries that they occupy. I don't know why my chat quit working. I might have missed a question or two. I always go back and relook at my chat. Hey, Colleen, welcome. Anyway, so I'm talking about observations that I make using my little bit of knowledge that I can squeeze. I want you guys to pay attention to who squawks when about getting out of Syria and what they do. They don't want to label it as war until the people rise up and demand it. Look how long it took for Congress to label Vietnam. No, they never labeled Vietnam a war. It never graduated above a police action. They use war now, but in the documents that were used to justify the action, it was a police action. If they have changed that recently, I haven't heard that, but definitely never graduated to war from police action. We were there as a security force, and that's how it was listed. Shonda's Graphics, how you doing? Good to see you. Anyway, so let's talk about some of the leaders in Congress. Let's talk about Lindsey Graham. I wish that you folks could understand that when Lindsey Graham he's basically nothing more than a beach shoe, because he flip-flops according to the wind. And whatever tides are flowing in his direction is how he will continue to run his operation. He is an absolute warmonger, and he's never been a good guy. He makes a lot of people fall for the smiling face and the subtle tone. He uses all this psychological manipulation, but this man didn't like, and I bet to the finances of Lindsey Graham, we're going to probably find agencies that fund war care, either lobbying for him or padding that pocket. You were there in security forces, and I remember there being a war. Okay, well, I know it was a war. Just I don't know if they ever changed the documents by Congress to actually declare. That's what I'm saying. I know it was a war. 58,000 people Americans died there. You don't get that without a war, but it's just the paperwork I'm talking about, the games played by the elected officials. Interrupted by the war industrial complex. Yes, I believe he is. I think that if people take some time and if they look up the people that pad his pockets, where his money comes from, I think they would find it. But then we have Mitt Romney, and whoever named their kid after a baseball glove is pretty stupid to begin with. But you know, this guy is an idiot. He is a cabal member, and these are Republicans. Uh, there's nothing Republican about them. They're no more Republican than Democrats. These Democrats are socialist, fascist, anarchists that are anti-American, anti-government, and pro-power. The same thing with these fake publicans. They are pro-power. They want to be in charge of everything, and they want us to just shut up and do what we're told. Instead, you keep growing your wheat so that we can eat. That's the kind of thing. Uh, Lying Westmoreland. Anyway, so there are things happening. The media is not going to tell you about them. You have to be able to focus on things and use discernment, be able to process it. These people are throwing bull hockey up my alimentary canal, and I know it. So I spend the time to research stuff, to look into it. I listen to what is said. I usually take half of it, throw it in the garbage before I even start looking, but I'll listen for keywords. Listen for key. Sometimes they'll tip their hat to the person being controlled by. So you have to listen for those kind of things. You're sharing my video to 8 to 9 MeWe sub you up to 1,000 soon. Well, thank you. And make sure that you guys hit up History B and Sandra Ann McGibbon while you're in here, too, because we're a couple of the, you know what, mingle with everybody. If you have a site, put your link up there. I'm not in this for me. I'm in this for you. So if it helps you guys grow, it helps us get the word out, then, everybody put your page under your name. And then everybody join each other. That's how we do it. That's how we grow a patriot movement. You can't do this by yourself. Yes, I need to be over 1,000 before the first of the year so that I can continue to bring you information. Also, I want to be able to do live streams from the streets. I want to be able to talk to homeless veterans. I want to be able to broadcast when I'm meeting with VA representatives and military people. So also elected officials. But I've got a lot of restrictions on me right now while I'm under 1,000. And many of those restrictions go away if I crest that number. So any help you guys can give me would be greatly appreciated. That's my goal, is to be able to get this information out to more and more people, because I got a lot to give, and a lot of years of studying and learning to get behind me, get out from within me. Are you aware of the war going on still in eastern Ukraine since 2014? Yeah, the Russians and the Russian what do they call them? They're not allies. They're I don't know, separatists or something to that effect. Yeah, still there's so many little wars and skirmishes going on still. It's just it's insane. Dangerous freedom. Hey, buddy, how you doing? But anyway, I just wanted to come on here. I wanted to give you guys some of this, and I got to start doing this once in a while because I get so much stuff balled up that I even forget to talk about some of it. Some of the things that were brought to my attention. Alex should have already been over 1,000. Help you. Thank you, Dennis. Appreciate you too. Yeah, heart for all of my people that follow me, because you guys could be doing anything in the world that you want to do, and you choose to hang out with me. So that's humbling. Um, I don't take that for granted. I enjoy having every single one of you with me, and I'm hoping that we can get this information out to the public up some more, because we're creeping towards a civil. There's nothing civil about a conflict, but and we're going to lose our country. I don't think we're going to. I don't, but things would be miserable for a very long time, and the Patriots need to replenish the republic a little bit. And as long as the Democrats don't do anything too stupid, then they can talk all they want. And they can throw the ridiculous stuff they're doing. All it's doing is exposing them for the stupid idiots they are. They seem to be uh, the congregation of the great unwashed. They just are. They are absolute idiots and delusional. I really appreciate your knowledge and your service to this great nation. I'll pray for your 1,000 and get you there. Thank you, Darla. Appreciate you. Um, anyway, so question time. You got anything for me? Because if you got a question for me, I'd love to entertain it. Tell you what I might know about it. And thank you, Mike. Appreciate you too. Um, Rebel Jack. Yep, you jumped in here. Good to see you. So, anyway, so you guys, I am going to be back on tonight. I'll be doing my regular show with Belinda. It's just this was a jump in there to try to get some stuff off my chest. Want to bring up a couple of things before I go. Um, as you guys know, some of you may be aware, some of you are not. There's going to be a 2,000-mile, 20-day journey along the southern border with 2 stops a day, live broadcasting, live interviews. This is going to be hosted by Douglas Ducote and American Joe. It's to bring exposure to the southern border, to bring it to the people instead of letting it be filtered through the media. And it's going to be a very expensive deal. And as an example, to do their satellite uplink for 20 days, because they have to have satellite. There's no other way to get this to the people. The satellite uplink is somewhere around $10,000 for 20 days. So that's an example of the kind of money they're looking at to get this thing done. So if you want to know about this and want to learn about it, go to bordercommand.com or text OBC to 53445, and you'll get updates and details. And when it gets closer to time, you'll get more specific information about where they're going, when they're going. Right now, they're trying to keep it on a lowdown because they're getting a lot of threats from both sides of the aisle and people that don't want them to do this. So as they get closer, they'll be able to get a little more information out. If you got a couple of dollars you want to throw at them to help them make this happen, it's fundly.com/OBC. So go check it out anyway, because some of the support is just in sharing it when it comes out. So if you got the link, you got the information, you'll be able to get that out there. The other announcement is like I said, if you guys have a channel, when you come into my live feed, I have no problem with you posting your link. It's just, I'm not selfish about this. I don't think, oh well, I'm not going to support other channels, I need them to come to me. No, that's not how it works. I want you guys all to be able to get your channels grown. Anyway, with all this being said, I think that's all I got for now. And I don't see any questions in the chat, so you are quite welcome, Lisa. Glad I can do my part. You're welcome too, History Beyond. I love your last video. That was really awesome. Deplorable Bobby, hey, how you doing? All right, so with that being said, y'all, until 7 o'clock Eastern Standard Time tonight, y'all stay in the fight.